Zephaniah. Zephaniah. One, I read from the Institute for Scripture Research, the ISR, because it takes a direct translation from Hebrew to English, Greek to English, and Aramaic to English. Yah is short for Yahweh, Yahweh, Yod He Vav He. There's no difference. It's like saying Dan or Daniel or Daniel with an E, you know? There's no difference what you're saying. Yah is the Elohim of the heavens and the earth, the first and the last and the only, and he's an extremely jealous El. He doesn't even want the names of idols or mighty ones to come to our lips. And the letter J is about 600 years old, while the son of Elohim, Yehoshua, died on a stake for the sins of all of humanity more than 2,000 years ago. And I can't remember how many prophecies I've seen so far in the Old Testament so far about YahWeh or Yehoshua dying and then spending 3 days and 3 nights in Sheol, and then being risen again. So many times I've seen that in this, like 3 days this, 3 days that, 3 days this, 3 days that. And there'd be prophets being like, well, it was 3 days because of this, it was 3 days because of that, and you'd realize it once you've read the sacrifice that Yehoshua made and that kind of stuff. You start to put things together. But anyways, Zephaniah, Zephaniah, and in Hebrew it is Zephaniah. Zephaniah. Tsephanyah. As if to say the only difference is the TS become a Z. And then obviously the YAH is IAH. So the TS become the Z and the Y becomes a I. Again, another example of it being super close from Hebrew to English, and that there is no reason to take your language and smear it through the mud through 30,000 different languages and then bring it back to English. Because that's what you're doing. You're smearing his name through the mud. You're spitting on his stuff. Anyways, Zephaniah 1. The word of YahWeh which came to Zephaniah, son of Cushi, Kushi, son of Gedaliah, Ged with a line underneath of it, Alyah, son of Amariah, Amaryah, son of Hezekiah, H with a dot, Izqiyah, in the days of Yoshia, Yoshiah, Yoshiyahu, son of Ammon, Amon, sovereign of Yehuda, Yehud with a line underneath of it, AH. Okay, so when I say H with a dot, the dot is underneath of the H, always in the center. And E with a half a check mark is above the E the half a check mark is above the E, and it's always in that spot. It's never anywhere else that I've seen so far. And when I enunciate words, when I say him or his instead of his, it's more referred to a capitalized letter referring to YahWeh or Yehoshua. I think that's all of it. Okay. I shall snatch away all from the face of the earth, declares YahWeh. I snatch away man and beast. I snatch away the birds of the heavens and the fish of the sea and the stumbling blocks with the rung. Then I shall cut off man from the face of the earth, declares YahWeh. And I shall stretch out my hand against Yehuda and against all the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and cut off every trace of Baal from this place, the names of the idolatrous priests with the priests, and those bowing down to the host of the heavens on the housetops, and those bowing themselves swearing to Yahweh and swearing to Malcolm, and those who turn away from following Yahweh, and those who have sought Yahweh or inquire of him. Okay, so Jerusalem is Yerushalayim, and Baal is Baal. Lord is Greek for Baal, exactly how that's spelled. And it turns out Baal is another name for Zeus. And then Malcolm is Malkam. Okay, there I am. Okay. Hush in the presence of the Master Yahweh, for the day of Yahweh is near, for Yahweh has prepared a slaughter. He has set apart his invited ones. And it shall be in the day of the slaughter of Yahweh that I shall punish the rulers and the sons of the sovereign and all such as are clad in foreign garments. And I shall punish on that day all who leap over the threshold, who fill their master's house with violence and deceit. And on that day there shall be, declares Yahweh, a sound of a cry from the fish gate, capital F and capital G fish gate, and of a howling from the second quarter, capital S and capital Q, second quarter, and of a great crashing, and of a great crashing from the hills. Howl, you inhabitants of Maktesh, MAK with a line underneath of it, TE with a half a check mark, SH. For all the merchant people shall be silenced, all those weighing out silver shall be cut off. And at that time it shall be that I search Jerusalem with lamps and punish the men who are settled on their dregs, DREGS, who say in their heart, Yahweh does no good, nor does he evil. And their wealth shall become plunder, and their houses laid waste, and they shall build houses, but not inherit them, and they shall plant vineyards, but not drink their wine. Near is the great day of Yahweh, near and hurrying greatly, the noise of the day of Yahweh. Let the mighty man then bitterly cry out. That day is a day of wrath, a day of distress and trouble, a day of waste and ruin, a day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds and thick darkness, a day of a shofar and sounding against the walled cities and against the corner towers. And I shall bring distress on men, and they shall walk like blind men, because they have sinned against Yahweh, and their blood shall be poured out like dust, and their flesh like dung. Neither their silver nor their gold shall be able to deliver them in the day of the wrath of Yahweh, and by the fire of his jealousy all the earth shall be consumed, for he makes a sudden end of all those who dwell in the earth. Revelations. This is Revelations. This is another prophecy of the end times in Revelations. His jealousy, and by the fire of his jealousy all the earth shall be consumed, for he makes a sudden end of all those who dwell in the earth. There's other parts here that says no nation will be spared. And here it says that he will make a sudden end of all those who dwell in the earth. So everyone is going to die. Every single person. No one will be left. And it'll be him collecting the wheat and burning the chaff. So those who follow him are the wheat, and those who don't are the chaff. And the burning is referring to the lake of fire, the burning of fire and sulfur. Basically like throwing you into the sun, or throwing you into the center of the earth where all the lava is. But you don't die. And you don't get used to it. And you're there forever, for the rest of eternity, for infinity. It doesn't end. I mean, that is a reason to uh, worship him, but at the same time, you shouldn't be like, well, I don't want to go to hell, so I'm gonna worship him. And be like, well, you should have your full heart into worshiping him because you love him, because he loves you, and you just look at what he created for you and what he gave you, and that everything you have is because of him. It kind of adds a little more heart to it rather than just being, well, I don't want to go to hell, so I'm not going to do it. So I'm going to do the bare minimum so that I don't go to hell. Those are the lukewarms, and he will vomit you out of his mouth, for you are a disgusting taste. I can't wait to get to those parts. That's the Revelations. It says that. But anyways, probably dragging on.